The more we find on Earth, the more we realize that the ancients who existed here before our civilization emerged were not the primitive humans we are outright taught in our upbringing. You would have to consider the fact that us humans are told as a matter of fact that technology advances and doesn't regress. Yet in every country, in every culture, and in every corner of this world, we are confronted with structures, monuments, and other objects that are completely out of place compared to what we have been told. This suggests that time is against our existence today, just as it was for the very ancient and lost civilization. One of the most remarkable prehistoric human achievements was our ability to work with stone on a seemingly gigantic and effortless scale, which, apart from the technical implications, reveals the presence of sophisticated and complex people who proved themselves to be anything but primitive. At sites like the unfinished obelisk or the quarries of Easter Island, we see apparent work in progress, projects that were seemingly abandoned without cause or indeed warning, as if at one profound moment all the world's cultures vanished. Where did they go? Well, that is a question for the ages, but what they left behind may still hold secrets to keys that we are still struggling in modern times to understand. This race of ancient earthlings left their imposed marks all over the place. Much of our discovery, we can't understand how certain things were accomplished without the use of highly advanced technologies. You gotta ask the questions, what exactly is going on? At number 6, the Ramesseum. The Ramesseum is the memorial temple of the legendary pharaoh Ramses II. Originally called the House of Millions of Years of Usamatra Seti Penra, that unites with Thebes, the city in the domain of Ammon. In front of the ruins is the base of the Colossus of Ramses. On the granite colossus' shoulders is an inscription describing Ramses as the son of princes. The statue fell into the second court and the head and torso remain there, but the other broken pieces are in museums all over the world. Only fragments of the base and torso remain of the Colossus statue and the enthroned Ramses, which is 19 meters high and weighing just over 1,000 tons. The stone for the statue was transported 170 miles over land from Aswan to Thebes. This would have once been the largest and heaviest statue in the world at the point of construction. At number 5 on our list, the angle blocks over the entrance to the Great Pyramid. These blocks at the supposed original entrance to the Great Pyramid are just stunning, largely overlooked in favor of all other majesty on show at this site, but you can't underestimate the effort that would have been involved to get these angle blocks in place. Weighing an estimated 250 tons each, these 4 arch stones would have the combined weight of 1,000 tons, the grand entrance to the ancient masterpiece. As far as we know, the first people to enter the Great Pyramid since the time of its construction were the Arabs in 1820 AD under Caliph al-Ma'mun. The Arabs broke into the Great Pyramid since they could not find the hidden entrance by boring into the limestone with crude instruments. After months, they did manage to break in and find the descending passages. Very little is known to us about the ancient monument, but at the entrance there is symbolic images that suggest perhaps there may be clues still to be found. In many parts of the world, archaeologists are uncovering this archaic form of Sanskrit, now recognized as a precursor to all known languages in every region where they are found. Integration of these most ancient antediluvian texts into the established history of post-cataclysmic cultures enables for the first time an accurate recounting of the distributed conditions of planetary resonance as directly identified by Atlantean authors. These rare texts form the basis for a new psycho-acoustic interpretation of their works. At 4 on our list, El Indrialo, Chile. These blocks are roughly rectangular, some as large as 12 to 16 feet high, 20 to 30 feet long, and weighing several hundred tons each. On the plateau of Indrialo, 233 stone blocks are placed geometrically in an amphitheater-like arrangement. As at Tiahuanaco, huge chairs of stone have been found in the ruins, each weighing approximately 10 tons. 3 standing stones were placed in the very center of the plateau, each 3 to 4 feet in diameter. Measurements reveal that 2 of the stones are perfectly aligned with magnetic north, while a line through one of these and the 3rd stone points to the midsummer sunrise. At 3, Tlaloc statue in Mexico. Found in the town of Cotilenchan near Tlaloc Mountain in the state of Mexico and weighing 168 tons, this is the largest existing monolith in the Americas. This statue was made of basalt and weighed an estimated 168 tons. It was moved to the National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City in 1964. Tlaloc, the provider, had attributes of the rain. He created and brought down the rain and the hail. He caused the trees, the grass, the maize to blossom, to sprout, and to grow. Also attributed to Tlaloc was the thunderbolts and the drowning of people. Number 2. The Lamassu of Nimrod. In 1847, after discovering more than half a dozen winged pair of colossal statues of lions and bulls, also known as Lamassu, weighing up to 30 short tons, Henry Layard brought 2 of the colossi weighing 10 short tons each, including 1 lion and 1 bull, to London. After 18 months of several near disasters, he succeeded in bringing them to a British museum. This involved loading them onto a wheeled cart. They were lowered with a complex system of pulleys and levers operated by dozens of men. The cart was towed by 300 men. He initially tried to hook the cart up to a team of buffalo and have them haul it. However, the buffalo refused to move. Then they were loaded onto a barge which required 600 goat skins and sheep skins to keep it afloat. After arriving in London, a ramp was built to haul them up the steps and into the museum on rollers. An incredible effort for something weighing only 10 tons. You gotta wonder that if we are struggling in modern times with something relatively light, compared with other stone structures weighing far in excess of these exquisite artifacts. And at number 1 on our list, the trilithon of Baalbek. At the site of the Temple of Jupiter in Baalbek, there are stones to be found that are out of this world. These stone trilithon blocks are weighing well over 1,000 tons each, and the moving and placing of these have been the subject of much debate since even before Roman times. Not only can these things not be moved in the today and now, they also prove that our conventional idea that a society could not move these things simply by using rope and brute strength, these enormous stones would suggest overwhelmingly that we are missing a big part of the picture. Theories on what the original purpose of such stones are always leaning towards an advanced industrious past in a time of history that we are told we were only just becoming conscious. Yet, here we are witness to something so mind-numbingly impossible based on the standard we are told. We can't stress how massive these blocks are, guys, and there are others in the region weighing 1,500 tons and another one weighing over 2,000 tons. Eye-wateringly heavy, especially by today's standards, and the ancients were seemingly making these things with apparent ease. The location of the megalithic structure is atop of a hill in the region known as Tel Baalbek. Numerous archaeological expeditions have gone to the site starting in the 19th century, primarily German and French groups, and research continued into the 20th century. Each one of these stones is 19 meters long, 4.2 meters high, 3.6 meters thick, and weighs over 1,000 tons. The supporting stone layer beneath features a number of stones which weigh an estimated 350 tons and are 11 meters wide. The so-called Stone of the South, or the Stone of the Pregnant Lady, are still close to the quarry, but it is thought their purpose was the same as the placed trilithon stones. However, they were never used according to archaeological examinations. It is still one of the greatest mysteries that we are confronted with today. The age of the builders is unknown and unacknowledged as ever happening in a time before written history began. These were achieved in the before time. This is why we are not understanding very well, because the civilization who created such things has since vanished from this planet. There were many stone movers in the ancient world. From Stonehenge to Machu Picchu, ancient peoples found a way to move stones of massive proportions. The Olmec of Central America moved enormous stone heads, possibly by floating them down rivers on rafts. The Inca created mountaintop kingdoms out of enormous yet intricately fitted stones, each dragged for dozens of miles, and the Eastern Islanders carved and moved some of the largest stone sculptures ever created. You really do have to wonder why. Why are these people creating these enormous things so majestically and effortlessly out of the heaviest and densest materials available, and what did they cut them with? In ancient times, there were extraordinary knowledge and building techniques on a colossal scale, from massive statues to gigantic foundation stones. We still can't match these achievements today, but we have tried. In 2012, a huge sculpture was unveiled at the Los Angeles Museum of Art. The installation consists of a 340-ton boulder affixed above a concrete trench through which visitors may walk. The nature, expense, and scale of the installation made it an instant topic of discussion throughout the world. But this massive chunk of stone was first conceived in 1968 by Michael Heiser, and he first attempted the construction in 1969, but all efforts had been abandoned after the biggest cranes at the time kept breaking under the weight of the rock. In 2006, he again began work on his project, receiving tens of millions of dollars in private donations from the art world. In 2012, the rock was complete and ready to be moved. It was loaded onto a 290-foot-long, 196-wheel transport custom built by Emirate International. Because of the transporter size, the boulder could only be moved at a maximum speed of about 7 miles per hour. They had to travel a special 106-mile route through 22 cities and 4 counties in order to avoid overpasses and roads that could not support the weight of the boulder. The rock was wrapped in a high thread count Egyptian cotton sheets and an outer layer of super thick plastic before being loaded onto the transporter. The trip took 11 days and the stone is a 340-ton boulder. So now you guys are thinking, yeah, so what? Great achievement, but what's your point? The point that we are making here, guys, is that at 340 tons, the rock is nothing but a pebble compared to the biggest carved stones of ancient times. Carved stones of 500, 700, 900 tons are found in their thousands all over the world. So if it was extremely difficult to move a stone weighing a fraction of the weight of the ancient stones, then the question has to be, how on earth was it done? Okay, so we have already had number 1, but we thought this video would not be complete without a notable surprise. So the real heaviest monolith of the ancient world is in fact near 10 times as heavy as any other monolith from the ancient world. Wait till you hear this. This is the true largest monolith in the world, Yangshan Stele Base. Stele Base is an unfinished construction from the Ming Empire located near Nanjing, China. Its estimated weight is approximately 16,800 tons. Yes, you heard that correctly, 16,800 tons. The gigantic unfinished Stele Base that was abandoned in an ancient Chinese quarry could provide the answer to the question of how other monolithic stone blocks were made in other parts of the world. In scope and ambition, the Stele project stands alone as the greatest undertaking humankind has ever attempted. The size and weight is almost unimaginable. This stone is not as old as the other selections, but further investigation by experts is required. This is one of those sites that is not popularized yet, guys, so remember the name Yangshan Stele Base, and remember where you heard about it first. It is one of these sites on Earth that, if properly investigated and understood, then it could change our understanding of how these megastones were carved and moved. We may not understand completely how ancient people achieved this, but no one can deny the existence of these colossal undertakings.
We're at the granite quarry at Aswan in Egypt. Most of the granite used by the ancient Egyptians is from this site, and you just saw a demonstration of how conventional archaeology believes that the stone was shaped with that dolerite or diorite pounder. As you can see, my effort was futile. This is the ancient way that we know that the dynastic Egyptians extracted stone, by putting wedges into these grooves after they'd cut them out. Probably wooden wedges. They were bathed in water so the wood would expand, and then you would break off an uneven surface. However, the unfinished obelisk, which would have weighed 1,200 tons had it been completed, doesn't have a lot of those marks on it. Instead, it has what one would call scoop marks, and that obviously is a different form of technology that was used.
We'll leave it at that for the moment, guys. You can let us know what you are thinking, and as always, thank you for watching.